Deerwood.
Sorry, guys. Try to close the
Oh,
tracks.
that's all right. What is the Deerwood addition?
Yeah, what is that? Where is that?
It's right across the tracks where the car wash is.
Oh, on
And
that
then he has
side of the
another
street?
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
on
it goes back
the
to
east side of the street.
storage
So,
units.
so what's the,
Okay.
What's the dealio on that?
yeah, what's the deal on it?
Yeah, he's just breaking it up for tax purposes. They were at the planning and zoning Monday, him and Mary Jo.
They approved it, obviously.
Yes.
Have we seen anything back at planning and zoning of the proposed car wash
It's not happening.
development guy? It's
I
off.
believe it's.
It's off.
Okay,
I think Slavic reached out to him and he didn't reach back,
okay,
so
good to know.
nothing official on that, just,
Right, unofficially, it's gone quiet.
yes. Yeah, so nothing.
The code of ordinance book is published out there electronically now, right?
Correct.
It just hasn't been announced to everybody, so it's out there yet? Or did
Not
you get
really.
it out?
We need to go ahead and hold the public hearing in order to adopt it. So at that time, it's out on our website right
It
now.
is
We're
out there,
using it.
yeah, so.
It's just we have to go through the formality of adopting it again, since we codified it.
Any questions? All right, department head discussions?
I mean, Stacy, you've already shared and John's kind of done your discussion for you.
We're
Critique.
excited, I was gonna say, we're excited that the golf simulator is open, or simulators open. It's been, I'd say, pretty slow-ish. I think it didn't hope that weather is amazing outside and whatever,
Golf
but,
course is open.
yeah, we're getting 1 to 2 a day-ish, for reservation. And everyone that's gone in it, I've heard very comparable to what John said as far as the layout. They like heat, I think it might be warm. Did you encounter that at all?
I just figured it's so.
I might have to address the heat a little bit. What is
You heard him.
But other than that, I think it's been.
For the same reason that I would be. And I can confirm that there's 2 people in there today. So I can hear it.
Can you hear it?
Not to a point where it's disruptive by any means, but I can hear on the racquetball court. So I know if somebody's below me doing golf or somebody's to the west of me.
Have you had anybody in both at the same time?
No, I'm waiting for that one.
When did you have?
I would have to play music during the day.
The only other thing really, so we started, I think I said months ago that we're gonna start a year,
Mhm.
once a month, well, twice a month, we're kind of going back and forth. We've been pushing a little harder this past month. We had 14 people. I had on here 12 because we definitely played 3 tables of 4. And then the 2 people kind of whatever. So word of mouth's getting out there. We're getting more people. They absolutely loved it. So we're
Oh, good.
hoping that catches on and stays something we do year round. So, but yeah, and then I did want to touch base on Kelly Oaks. I know I wasn't at the last council meeting and there was some discussion about the trail, and I know that the public hearing is going to be on Tuesday at the council meeting. I just want to kind of update as far as when we discussed it at the park board meeting, as far as I think you guys approved going forward with option 1, which I believe was the long loop as well as the short loop. But that's what was decided within the park board meeting as well, that it's well within the budget that we have to do so, and we thought it would be the best in terms of the people that couldn't do the harder loop, because the long loop is going to have some steep inclines or declines, I guess, depending on what direction you're going. So we were thinking moms with strollers, the bikes or whatever, that they have a cut across to be able to do so. So I just wanted to kind of update you on that and see if you had any questions on the trail. Okay. And then the pavilion, Eric from Mark Gardner was there as well. That one was a very, very long discussion. So we're working forward and getting the essentially blueprint of what we're looking, or the shell of what we were looking for a pavilion, so we can get closer to getting an actual dollar amount for what we truly need to raise. So when I get those, it's not really worth sending you what I have now until we get the new up-to-date version of what they're thinking. But we're moving along. So it was exciting once we kind of, I think, all got on the But, so yeah, so that was good. And then I had a gentleman come, well, an Eagle Scout come, is looking at doing storybooks for around the trail when we hit the trail. So we were kind of talking logistics of that and what that would look like, material, information, what we want. Getting stages, but ball's moving slowly but surely. Hopefully we'll make some progress this summer, so.
Is that storyboard idea, is that a project that we pitched, that he's picking up on, or is it something that he
So-
pitched to us?
So we talked about it, so
QR codes.
Connor came to me and asked about Eagle Scout projects, and I threw a million
do?
things at him, yeah. And it was kind of one that just intrigued him, and so when we were at the meeting, we kind of talked about what would be good on there, like, is it like a, different places have like where they change it, it's a different storybook every whatever, do we want that, or do we want storybooks based on the history of Piasta and how it came to be? Do we want it about the species of trees that are within the area? And so we talked about a lot of that stuff. I don't think anything was set in stone with what we were going to do. I think there was more discussion that needed to happen at the park board meeting as far as material. We talked about wanting it to match our grant, like Kelly Oaks Park,
Right.
when we come in and what we're using for that. So we need to answer some questions before we can kind of give him further guidance on it. And then as far as the information, I think it kind of went with, as a part of his Eagle Scout project, it's technically supposed to be him coming up with ideas.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at, was he was gonna come up with ideas and then pitch them to the park board meeting where we could go yay, nay, let's, come up with something that will work for everyone, so sort of pitched it, but pitched many things.
Generally,
Well,
generating ideas.
Yeah,
I just like that he wants to be involved in it.
100%,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that a lot. Maybe they'll spark some other Eagle Scouts who want to do projects in the park.
We've had quite a few in the community
Yeah,
recently, the last
we've done
5
it.
years.
Yeah, I mean, we've done like,
Some
there's
look through.
shadow boxes downstairs, one of the picnic table with shelter over down at the ball fields. That had been done, but yeah, no, continue to do some things that need to.
We have a provision, Stacy, in the Kelly Oaks plan to get the Frisbee golf course back up and going, disc golf course. I mean, at least one of the holes is gone now,
We haven't really
because
talked
of-
about it.
because that was all volunteer before, right?
Yeah, well, I think it was mainly led by Todd,
Yes.
to do it, so we'll, have to talk to him, kind of see where, I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better, that's my fear, is
Right.
that if we truly are going to pass it on Tuesday and then go to bidding phase, is it worth doing it now, or do we wait until the
Oh,
trail's
yeah, no,
complete?
I think it should be
So that we
included
can-
in our final plan that
Yeah,
we
absolutely,
kind of restage it and re-up it
well,
and
cause I think,
dress it back up again.
I think we need to get signs for, as far as whole numbers, I think we need
Right,
to
tee
do a lot
boxes.
of. Correct, but yes, I mean, I don't know that I have it in black and white somewhere that we went over, but yes, I think that definitely needs to be.
Was that trail thought out around that, around the disco?
I mean, that's kind of the way, the reason we did what we did was to try to keep it away from, I mean, there's gonna be
There's a couple.
some risk.
Aren't there several?
But yeah, we did it in a way to try to avoid everything possible, and then with that in mind, that it's possible that one or two holes needs to be adjusted because of it as well. So, but yes,
It may not be this deep, but because I know we had a company come in and do that.
Yep.
So would we have to call them back in and do that, or can we just?
so, I think
pick
it
it up and move
depends
it?
on how, I mean, so I wasn't involved in that process, ironically, I was involved in, installing a disc golf course somewhere else, and we had that, whatever. I think that as long as it's not too extensive, I think that's something that we can do with it. With that said, I don't know that we care or whatever, but when they came in and installed it, they also, do you go on the disc golf website that it's out there that it shows, like, I don't know if that just says Nine-Hole Golf Course.
Layout comes up.
Layout is there, so
I
that
know it's
would be.
listed on some of those disc golf
You an avid
sites.
golfer?
No, my son is huge, so
Sorry,
he's in that
play there.
community. So he would know, but I mean, I don't
No, I
really
was
know
just
what
curious.
shows with
So
people.
that would be the one where we might have to, is if
I
we
can't
want
play
the
for
true
that.
layout back.
If we change the layout. then.
Yeah,
I can't play.
Gotcha.
but that should.
It's fun.
Anything.
It's a fun,
Super
because of the
excited.
hills and all that
Just
stuff.
dig a hole.
Big picture,
Guy going to Arizona and plays, regular golf, want to be on a simulator that would have the course he's gonna play in Arizona on it.
I know,
Something
right?
weird like that.
Big wishes.
Last question.
Yeah, we have a lot of horses on
I
there.
kept
mean,
it around.
there's-
I kept him behind.
Probably 50 to 75?
Yeah, I was very impressed with how
Ice
many
and lava.
horses on it, so. Might not have the
Get a
one
force
from
together, play
Arizona.
Pebble Beach, play Pebble Beach.
It's on there.
Yeah, I heard that. It's kind of cool. Last question about the park pavilion. So what will we have back from Martin Garner, or will we have anything
So he
for the
was,
open house?
so we should have something
Concept.
back by May for sure. So
Okay.
he was gonna take what we had, kind of gone and send it to us again, just to kind of make sure that is the final we wanna go with, so that we can have some boards for open house. What's the plan? So I don't know, they're not gonna be pretty, they're not going to
No,
be
it's
final.
schematic.
Yeah, correct. It's just gonna be
Schematic
kind of, this is the layout of what's going to be put here once the raised.
Thanks, Stacy.
Chief, ordinances, that's what we're gonna be talking about with me, but that's not until down here, so if you guys have anything else, I'd rather just go one by one when we get down to the ordinance section. And
Okay.
help with that discussion.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, I guess we're gonna go on to the budget. All right, anyone have a problem just skipping to the truck permit, so our guests can, we can have our discussion
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
let's do that. If they're here for a particular
I'm
item.
assuming you're gonna listen.
Yeah, let's do that.
Listen to us talk about budget.
It's,
Yeah, you're right.
There's not much discussion, Alexis, there's not much,
I know, there's no money.
there's no money.
Do an interpretive dance
What
with
did I
that?
talk about? We can't have it. That's my
Well, that's
favorite budget
easy, we
year
just got over
ever.
that one.
Yeah, there's no money, we can't do anything.
Sorry, you can't.
Done.
Sorry, next year, ask again.
All right. Lexi, you had asked to have this on for this evening for discussion.
Yeah, so I know we talked about this a while back at a work session. I think it was at the end of, like, maybe the fall, like end of the summer season, but from personal experience, I mean, I think that my business is affected by an excess of food trucks in the town. And I asked these two to join us today because they have the same opinion that I do, so I thought it might be nice to hear from someone else besides myself. And it's going to be food truck season 2. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if it's to raise the fee. I don't know. Maybe you, Dave, I know you always got a lot to say.
Well, I did write myself a couple cheat sheets here, so can I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I'm sure you all know who I am, right? I'm Dave Petra, I own Round Two. I'm here tonight to discuss the overabundance of food trucks, preying on our small community each and every week. Last week alone, there were at least 5 that I know of that were here during peak hours of lunch or supper. Sadly, with the present high food cost, labor cost, it can be very challenging to profit each and every day. By charging an annual fee of $200, which I understand is the going rate for any food truck to come to our community 365 days per year, is absolutely way too affordable. It will not limit or stop or even more abundance of more to come. I found an application for a peddler's license on our city website, and I'm not sure why food trucks don't have to fill out each and every time they come to town when there's already an ordinance that could be followed. My last question is, what do they give back to our community? Rather than providing a quick food service and profiting at very little expense. Who's to say next year this isn't gonna be 30 food trucks? The next year after that, 60. I have retail space behind me that are begging to put something in. And I hope restaurants do come. But how are you gonna sell restaurants to come to this town if we have 60 food trucks allowed to be on each and every street corner of in every parking lot in our city? It's a small community. I get the food truck craze. I've been all over the nation. I get it. But why do the Butte-based business or another based business have to prey on a small community? And that's my concern. Is this gonna keep growing? Or are we gonna limit it to so many? Is there 1 allowed per week? Is there 5 allowed per week? Is there 20? That's my question. When does it end? And on the peddler's license on our website, there is a fee structure, which I believe is also low, but I mean, I get it. It's $100 $300 after a week, up to $1,500 per year. My concern is, would that limit some of these food trucks from coming? I mean, and I don't have the answer for it either. But when I see things come up like, now there's a food truck group, they're telling them where they're at in town, and that's nothing to do with the city. But, you know, I mean, somebody came up with a social media account or whatever. I think it's just getting a little bit out of control. That's just my opinion. And I'll leave it at that.
Hi, I'm Annie from Red Roof Diner, and I do agree with Dave and with the truck side. We are affected by it. On Fridays, we used to have decent crowd, and now every Friday, because I pass by there, I see by Ace, there's a food truck that just stays there and people go there. With COVID, we already had drop off in the business because people got used to taking their own food and eating and not going out for lunch. And now by having these other food trucks coming in town, it's taking, you know, even 10 customers for us small places that we pay our workers, everything else, you know. And if all the food costs is getting high and you cannot charge people, you know, we cannot raise our prices every day, every month, say, hey, we're gonna charge you $1 more now because it's just, it is affecting us.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people forget, I understand the appeal of food trucks. It's something exciting that's not normally in your town. So it's different, you know, we don't, not all of us won't eat at the same 3 places for the rest of our lives. That's just not how it goes. But, you know, brick and mortar businesses in your community are contributing more than just, you know, to the tax base, but I mean, they're sponsoring baseball teams and they're having fundraisers for your parks and your fire department and your police department and your whatever. I just think sometimes that's forgotten a little bit. And these things, especially now after with obviously inflation and with food costs, I mean, Annie's right, 10 customers can make or break your day.
Because for 7 days, that's 7 days.
Yeah,
So is it a cost of the, what do you call license to be able to come in here that needs to be adjusted? What are your thoughts?
I'm thinking they should have to pay their fair share.
What's that?
You gotta decide. There's gotta be an
Well,
amount
when
that can be
we
assumed.
came up with that, I mean, 4 years ago,
Yeah, maybe not.
200, what is it, $200?
Yes.
$200 was considered fair. And we did research in the area to find out what other communities, we weren't in the low end, we're not in the high end. So that was our perspective at that time. You know, we are in a position as a council that we've got to do a lot of different things, right? We've got to balance creating policies to allow businesses that are here to be successful. And at the same time, be able to provide amenities to the citizens. So it's that balancing act, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's, you know, if we were to come out and say, no food trucks at all, citizens would be upset. If we say food trucks, any as we want, you guys are gonna be upset. So it's that balancing act to try to create a fair and equitable, you guys, so you guys can make money, so the citizens can get what they want. I guess that's my point, is how much should these fees be? I mean, how much should, when you were in Cascade, was there a food truck fee?
They had a peddler's license fee. Now, I'm not aware that they had a food truck fee, but I believe they're the same thing.
No, they're not. A peddler is somebody that's going door to door, selling, like a transient person,
Okay,
selling magazines, selling roofing. They can either sign up, right.
it's still an outsider coming in your community though
To
and
do
selling. I mean, not.
Pardon me?
quite-
$100?
I mean, no, I mean, it's still an outsider coming into your community and selling something.
Mhm.
Just, I mean, not door to door, but
I'm curious.
I don't know what the right amount is. It's just,
What is our annual licensing for the brick and mortar restaurants? I should know that, but I don't. What's
well,
an
you pay
annual
licensing,
for the city,
to
the
the-
city part of it?
I don't know.
No, we don't have a
We don't
business
have any.
license.
There isn't a business.
No, but like you pay, like license fees, like liquor license and
Sure.
food license, and the city would get a chunk of that. I doubt it's much.
We don't get a food
Not food,
license,
just
no,
liquor.
just liquor.
Okay.
I doubt it's much, but.
I mean, obviously, the plus side of having the food trucks here is it's in the. Nobody wants to, like you said, nobody wants to eat at the same three places. I mean, just you're like, I just can't do that. You know, and we did check around and, only in Dubuque County, to our understanding, the only town that has a food license is Dubuque, and it's 250. And Farley doesn't have one, Epworth doesn't have one, Cascade doesn't have, you know. So I'm not saying that we can't do more, look at potentially limiting or, you know, hey, with your license, you can come to town 5 times,
Right.
10 times,
Right.
whatever. I understand the point that you guys are coming from. I really do, because it is, you've decided to invest in the community. I get that. That is 100%. Sure. We appreciate that. We want to work towards that being, you know, that we have a common ground. You know, the flip side that we have to also look at is we have 2,000 people in town. We have another 1,500 over in Thunder Hills and Thunder Ridge and, you know, Birds Acres that consider themselves Piastans. So we've got
2,000 people that come to work here.
yeah, so I mean,
90%.
you know, and I don't know what the work schedules are for the guys at Bodine or the people at ProPulse or Mighty, what they have for lunch. So there's a good chance they don't have enough time to probably come to your facility at lunchtime anyway. So from that standpoint, and I know a lot of the food trucks go to the industrial park.
I have no problem with that,
Okay,
never did.
and the thing about, and I know you know, the visible one is Steve's. Steve's is a brick and mortar too. They've invested in the community as well.
Are they a restaurant or a hardware store?
They're a hardware store, Dave, but this is a way that they're bringing people into their hardware store to spend money at their hardware store.
So if I put a hardware store truck in my parking lot, or a tool truck, that's okay,
I would say, yeah,
every week?
You'll have to get a peddler's license.
Well, so they have to get a peddler's license. A tool truck would have to get a peddler's license, but a food truck doesn't.
If you're gonna be there every day, if you're gonna be there once a week, you don't have a brick and mortar,
I can
that's
show
a
you the
peddler.
emails that you send me and that, so I know you're against this. Okay. But I'm just trying, I'm only here giving my opinion. That's all I'm doing.
right.
And I would like to see something done about an over excess. That's all I'm asking.
What's an excess?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, that's just it.
Where do you
and I don't think we're gonna have 60 food trucks in 2 years. I mean, I know you.
We don't know that.
I don't know that, but
Did or not, did the city or not, post something on their Facebook page inviting food trucks to our town.
Sure, why not?
Probably.
because
We're also inviting other businesses to our town too.
yeah, and what's to say one of those food trucks doesn't come out here and see that, hey, we want a restaurant.
Absolutely.
Well, how are they gonna do that if we don't allow them to come out?
It's not allow them, I'm saying if there could be some type of limit.
Well, what's your limit though, Dave? You don't, I mean, your limit would be 0, correct?
No, I'm not against food trucks. I'm not,
Where do you think a reasonable?
I was at- I
where do you
mean,
think a reasonable line is?
one per week,
One food truck per week?
possibly 2.
Okay.
Do we need 5? Do we need 6?
Yeah, I think we do because they're busy, right?
It depends who you ask.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't think people are going to a food truck that they're not coming to your place. I'm gonna use you only, Dave, because I go to your place more than I go to Lexi's or I go to Ann's.
So I appreciate it.
And I was there
I've been
Friday
to all
night and I
three.
didn't get a seat.
I was at Red Roof this week.
Okay, Brian, you're okay.
I mean, I just looked around. People were sitting at tables that weren't cleaned off because it's so busy. I realize it's a Friday night, I'm just using a recent example. And again, Annie, I've been at your facility for lunch several times over the last month. And yeah, you got 8 people in there, 10 people in there, and I think I'm old, they make me look young, so it's always.
They're hanging out.
It's always, so I know what they're doing, they're splitting a hoagie and they're drinking free coffee for the rest of the day. So I get it, I'm not unsympathetic, but I think from a city standpoint, I look at it as it's an amenity that our citizens, yeah, I mean, we're not providing it, it's being provided for them. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying, when I looked at the cost, I was surprised to see that other towns don't have a fee. But I also don't know that it's our job to just totally regulate a way that we just completely protect the brick and mortar from somebody who's just selling a similar product. Right? If there was a hardware store came to town, I tell you what, Fairway was very not happy when Dollar General came to town. And they're both coexisting. And I think they're both.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, I don't think one without the other, and I'm not disregarding what you're saying about limiting, but I'm also not saying, you know, is it our job to limit the amount of business in town? Put yourself in this position. You're not a business owner, you're not owning a restaurant. Would you think that you should regulate somebody's business?
Absolutely not.
Okay, and that's what you're asking us to do.
So Dave, let me ask you this. So let's just say we were to, whatever, we decided we're gonna put a limit. And you said 1 to 2 trucks a week.
I'm just throwing.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this. And so how do we maintain that? How do we keep records of that? How do we do that in an equitable fashion for these 7 companies?
Well, they've already paid for the whole year, so they can come and go as they want anyway.
But you're saying, okay, let's say going forward, let's say,
Why couldn't there be a fee per truck per day?
I think it would be a logistic nightmare for our staff. I don't know, that's a fact, I'm just thinking,
Trying to minimize record keeping.
you said one, you said your thoughts.
I just do
I know,
numbers.
one a day.
Even if you did charge them a fee per day, you're not gonna have 6 food trucks here. I really don't believe it. They're not gonna wanna pay a fee per day. And the ones that do are gonna profit.
Depends what the fee is, right?
Correct.
If it's $5, it's different than if it's $500.
But like I mentioned, when I get interrupted, a peddler license, you already have one. They are peddling food. It's $100 per day.
Let's just look into if that's.
Yeah, I have it pulled up right now.
Do we define what a peddler is?
Yeah, there's a definition of
It's in the
peddlers.
ordinance.
What's the definition?
Pull it up.
Yeah, working on it.
She's looking.
I talked to.
Any person, I'm sorry.
Craig Miller, who is, well, I know that Stacy knows him, but A to Z Cleaning in Asbury, but he's also on their city council, because he's delivered my paper towels today, so I just asked him about it. And they obviously don't charge a food truck fee because their town wants them to come, because they have 0 restaurants. Like Asbury has none in their city limits. They have Eagles Club, which is a nonprofit, you know, they have like Friar, but, so they want them to come. So I think comparing us to some of those towns as a $0 fee, you know, isn't really
I think,
not the same thing.
I think it's a selling point though.
I mean,
But I think who's to say, I mean, other than certain folks don't want them to come.
yeah, I totally agree. I think right now, if we asked everybody in Piasta if they like food trucks, every single one of them would say yes. I 100% agree. It's just nice to be reminded, I think, to some of those people sometimes that your brick and mortar businesses provide you with a lot more than just dinner.
Right?
I don't think
it does.
anyone's.
I don't think anybody here disagrees with
So
that.
I think, was it Friday, was there 2 food trucks in town on Main Street at the same time? One at the church parking lot,
The
one at the
school
hardware
had
store.
4,
They had 4 this
2
week,
each day, which the weather didn't.
which they have
probably help them.
conferences, I understand what their logic was
But we,
behind
that's
that.
a fun.
we all know the weather's gonna get nicer real quick.
Yeah,
They're probably revenue sharing with the school.
And that's a fun-
They might.
Fundraiser thing.
Yeah.
I see both
Yeah.
sides of it too, I really do.
I want our brick and mortar businesses to succeed, and actually I want more in town. I'd like to see.
Yeah, and
others
it's like,
come.
if you ask Wes, every time I see Wes, who owns, you know, the apartments over here with
Yeah.
the, I tell him,
He wants,
what's going on? He goes, nothing, there's nobody.
Yeah.
There's nobody coming in, there's nobody looking
I
around,
just
there's
wonder-
nobody asking. Wes and his, like, you know, buildings down below his apartments,
yeah,
nothing.
There's
Nobody's
no-
looking at him, nobody's asking about him, because it's not, the economy is not good enough for anybody to
Right.
open them. The bank's not giving people money to open a business, they're not.
Right now, it's just too expensive to build it out. That's the biggest struggle that he's having.
I see both sides, and I see the food truck thing as being a way that some of these other businesses and see if they wanna have a foot.
I just can see as the, as the weather continues to get better, that it's already starting to be a little bit excessive and I can only see it getting worse. And I don't know, same as all of us, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's to raise the fee. I don't know if it's to charge a fee per day. Or, I don't know, or if I was a food truck and I saw that another food truck was coming into town, I would probably think that I also wouldn't want to be in town at the same time because that's just another business that you're competing with. So I don't know if there's a way to, I don't know.
I don't think we're gonna have the answer tonight. We've got some more information. We
And
appreciate that.
we didn't come here to get an answer. I just wanted to start a discussion and give our opinion, that's it.
There's your definition up there, Mayor.
Yes.
You know, and
Person.
From house to house on public street.
Or up on the public street.
Or a fund, yeah.
So that would be what, $1,500 a year?
That's on public street, not a private park.
Yeah, the food trucks are not on the public streets, they're usually at a business.
Okay.
See, that'd be the other thing is then those guys are trying to drop business into their place.
The church one, I don't understand that one, because they're using the church parking lot now and there's no,
Does anyone know if they get permission from the church? Or
yes, you have to have permission from the church.
I'm just-
Friday.
Every Friday for the rest of the month, there's a guaranteed one
And I
there.
know the schools had like 5 of them in for conferences last week, and that's why there was a heavy presence of them last week for
Yeah, I knew they were
conferences.
there.
Yep. And I think the school brings them in just for that, the reason.
I get it, I
You know,
really do see the
teachers,
effects.
And I've had discussions with your mother, for example, I wanna see the hardware store succeed. I love the hardware store in town. I mean, if you don't like the hardware store, I don't know what to tell you. I would personally advertise for them inside my business for nothing, whether it's a coupon on a pizza box going up or whatever. I would promote that business.
Have you reached out to Sarah and told her that?
What's that? I reached out to her email and she basically said the same thing, that it draws people in the business. But I would love to promote other business in town. I do. I am an advocate for that.
Right.
Do I go to your business?
Oh, yeah.
Do I go to your business?
Every now and again, we let you in.
But, and I want to see all businesses succeed. So I'm not here just saying that I can't make it.
I understand. You want it to be, got the business first.
Correct.
Is the way. While I'm thinking of it, you talk about promoting, I want to thank you on behalf of the Hopkins Club. When basketball, the pregame, coupons, everybody was excited about those. I don't know if you've got them turned in or not. I don't know. Yeah, but everybody was really excited about that. Thank you for that.
I've been here that are on this
I
list.
see Adobo's.
Anybody have any other questions right now?
That's on the website, so I don't know if she's loaded the
Topic.
app.
At least
Yeah,
three.
I think we need to keep it,
Yeah.
keep it around. Yeah.
That's common ground.
Yeah. Look into,
I get it, I see both sides of it, with that, where the restaurant side, my business, cost has gone up 30%.
yeah, no,
And I know when we first, I was probably the only one in the room that was when we passed that. And I know it was thought hard about trying not to step on toes, but yet keep the, not same 3, same 2, same 4, whatever, kind of that excitement out and about. So I'm sure there's something we can do to. Right,
Make it work for everyone.
yeah,
I just don't know what that is.
we make a note and let's put this on discussion for the May work session. That'll give us a couple of months to kind of
See what happens.
ponder on it, and I know it'll probably be in full swing by then, but at least we have an idea.
Or
Absolutely.
we're making changes for next year.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah, it's gonna be a process, but that'll give us some time to think on it, talk. Have another discussion.
I'd like to maybe pull some of the people that are coming out, food trucks, and take their pulse in some way, see what they see as attractive in Piasca and whether comments.
Assuming we have their contact information.
Absolutely, yep.
We can send them an email, so just kind of list maybe 5 or 6 questions.
Maybe we can
And I
A little
think,
information to inform us a little bit differently,
and we can do,
but
during that work session, we can come up with those questions.
If we have had people ask about a one-day permit, like, well, because I want to pay $200, I just want to do one day. So
there you go.
it's kind of a, well, how much do we,
No, I don't want, I don't want City Hall to be overabundance with 1,500
Oh,
food
yeah.
trucks.
Right, I mean, as it is, we'll call and I'll say, hey, are these people on the list? And I send, make sure that they have their permit, like
Yeah.
we're making sure that.
We do. I've done that too.
I'm like, hey, so-and-so's in town, they have a permit. But they asked, I just don't know what we would charge them for just one day.
Well, that would be
Wanna
something,
make it
yeah, that would be a fee
worthwhile.
structure we could come up with if we decide that's.
Because it has to be worthwhile for our time to be able to actually
If it
process
was
it.
one day too, we might be able to control how many we have at a time also. So if somebody called and said, I want a permit for this day, it could even just be a, hey, there already is someone
Permits have been.
for this
issued that
day, for just heads up, because I mean, I would think that they wouldn't want to be competing with another truck.
So I would think just the opposite.
But then you're potentially then having one every day though, that.
And then that would be a nightmare
Well,
for
you're,
us.
right now, they can come every day, 365 days a year.
Right.
So they're paying less than $1 a day right now. If you think about
They
it that
came
way.
every day, yeah.
I see what you mean.
I don't know if anybody tracks how many days any particular food truck is in
They
town.
don't check in with us, so
Okay.
they don't have a list.
All right, further discussion to come.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. I appreciate the input.
Yeah.
Thanks for your investment. Yeah,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I was just waiting to see if you thought, hey, the restaurant owners are all leaving, you were gonna. You missed it.
Give us the window.
Thought maybe you'd be like,
They owed
oh.
me a beer too.
This is a tough one, because in principle, I am very against regulation, and I like to see the competition. I totally get.
But it's not,
Totally get the
but
position.
the argument here is it's not a level playing field.
Yeah,
I really do see both sides.
Yeah, I know you do.
100%. It's,
And I know Dave does, I know Andy does.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. But I can just see that it's gonna be a problem.
yeah, it's
Like, I
not a
can
level
see it
playing
happening.
field.
Time to turn that Suburban into a food truck.
My dad says that, oh, don't, if I have a
Oh, I
truck,
know
then
what
invite
you're
him. Then invite
You
him.
did.
You know, like, I'm making a food truck, I'm parking it right at the police station today. I'm like,
Sweet, yes.
oh yeah, I don't get them.
Public street.
All right.
You're finding a discount.
Yeah. All right, well, if anybody thinks of anything, in the meantime, like I said, we'll do another discussion. Maybe have a better idea of, how to frame it. Maybe we can dig in with, it's hard to say other communities because nobody else really has a fee structure, so.
You just limit it to 5 or 7 that we have for the year, and that's it for the year, I mean, that, again, that's all for discussion.
Yeah, I mean, the question there, I guess, Mike, would beg is, we limit it to those numbers of permits, but you all, if they're here 7 days a week,
Right.
that doesn't help what.
No,
That actually makes it worse, yeah.
The problem is they
Doesn't
don't
have an active
Yeah,
restaurant.
no, and I mean, if you look at the list, everybody's expires, the latest one expires January 31st. So I mean,
Right.
we could get through this year if we decide to change some regulation.
So we changed that recently to being instead of a
Yeah.
calendar year,
Yep.
12.
Yep, we,
Rolling
yeah,
12.
so. Yeah, all right. I think that's enough for tonight on that. All right, budget.
Okay, that was a great
You wanna
discussion.
go back here?
No,
No budget,
No.
we're not for it.
next please.
So, everything has been, submitted for as far as like the levy. We have the public hearing on Tuesday, or I'm sorry, not Tuesday,
The 26th.
the 26th, 2 Tuesdays at the end of the month. So it'll get published, and then the letter will go out on the 20th from the county to everyone. I'm waiting I have kind of a sample one, but it's not filled in with any numbers, so I'm waiting. Ted from the Department of Management is working on a letter and some steps on how to, I guess, kind of approach it and answer questions. So hopefully, once he sends that, I can forward it out, because it's likely that you may have to field questions if you have people asking you. Because they've never received this letter before. This is a new thing. But it does have at the top, it says the school board, when their public hearing, county, when their public hearing is, the city. So, because they all get a piece of your tax dollar pie, so.
Does it say to call them with questions?
I don't know, I didn't really read it that closely. So.
That should be in bold print.
Yeah, the city at least is last, so
That's all they're gonna remember,
That's good.
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So, otherwise, yeah, we're on track to,
I do think you're.
yeah, when I get something,
Okay.
yeah, when, I can forward you the blank letter if you want. I was just kind of waiting to see it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, just so we can get
Yep.
a flavor.
I can bring it up right now. Well, I don't have my email, so no, I can't. So I like.
Just send it out tomorrow.
Yeah, I can send it out. It's, like I said, it's blank right now. I can forward it out. I got it from, I asked another clerk friend and her county auditor had sent it. I didn't hear anything from Megan when I asked, so. But yeah, I can definitely do that.
Are there any questions about the budget?
Really not much has really changed since probably the last time we talked about it or the last
Look at
time.
me.
And that-
You know I do. I looked up and he's like, oh, he knows I do.
Yeah, so I know we just got that estimate for that sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have any money for it.
$300,000 to go from.
300.
That was sticker shock.
Juliana,
And keep in mind that we have to go with the 5 foot because of that's the ordinance.
Zuliana to the school. Okay. Cause I have to deal with two.
That's what I figured it was, but
It'll just get you up to Bergs.
yeah, I was like a long way.
Yeah.
So, no.
And it's a dire need.
I thought it was
Yeah, no, I see
cheap.
it's a dire need.
Well, yeah, you have better probably comprehension than we do. I know that's the thing I found when I started doing this little job. It's
Right, yeah. it's-
Everything costs
it's
like-
Sticker shock, yeah.
billions of dollars. But yeah, I'm with the chief on this. It's a safety issue.
Absolutely.
And if there are alternate ideas, by all means.
Well, and I think too that maybe this House File 718 might be a blessing in disguise. Because since we're getting less back on property taxes, maybe that'll put us a little bit more in the need category versus you don't need it. So maybe that's the only saving grace.
I'm sorry, I missed the front end of that.
The House File 718 with the property tax reform, since we're getting less from property taxes, the argument is we're getting less, so we need more from you, state of Iowa, federal government.
I mean, the only thing really to do is to
There's
play
no
with,
guarantee.
play with the
that's
levy and try to
gonna
increase the
happen.
levy, but it's kind of late for that because we've already had to submit it all.
Are you saying the levy was dry?
I drove my Chevy
Is there
to it.
any grant opportunities, anything, because I'm with Chief that
Well, there's that $25,000 one that we talked about, which is like the Get Safe Kids Safe to
Yeah.
School, but 25,000 is gonna put,
That's gonna buy some of the gravel.
right?
Well, and keep in mind, we had applied for that and we were denied because we are too bougie.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's,
Last time, yeah.
Well off.
Yeah.
balance sheet.
so I mean, John, to your question, there are grants out there, but are we able to apply for them?
We apply, but we don't
Yeah, we
qualify
can't
because we're
qualify.
too rich as a community. So-
Yeah.
Is it, and I think I know the answer, but is it at all possible to put in like an actual trail with like chips or not have a sidewalk there?
The problem is you've got a culvert there, you're gonna have to put a culvert in. So then and the culverts are terribly expensive. So you could, but then if you think you think of the cost over the time, because putting down the screenings
Right.
and just the material to get it going and then what you're throwing on top, when the people that live along there, that they're mowing, throwing grass in there, grass is gonna grow through
I'm
weeds.
I'm just
I don't
looking for a
know.
walking
Yeah,
path,
looking
if
for
at all possible. Can we have steps down without doing a culvert? And,
No,
At that point, you just put rock in, you know.
well, I'm throwing out what's,
Yeah, gravel.
is there
Like, can we at
any,
least get
rather
lines
than that,
painted for a
what he's talking
crosswalk
about?
and flashy sign, you know?
it's not the intersection that's the problem.
There's nowhere to, for them to
There's just
walk.
People, because they're gonna crosswalk to where? They walk in the street.
The kids walk along the
Yes, they
street.
walk in the street. Mothers with their strollers are
Yes.
pushing their strollers in the street.
Daily.
Yeah.
walking your
We
dog.
just,
Yeah, right down the middle.
it wasn't too long ago, we just repaved the street, but I've been staring at that street thinking, we should have made it wider. I mean, wider with
Wasn't
some
that
shoulder.
that was a county.
and
That was a county.
A bike
Yeah, it
lane.
was
Yeah,
county.
That was before
County,
we,
That was
county
county.
controls the street.
that was before
They
we owned
did
it.
at the
They
time.
did.
That was before we owned it.
Okay, but it's turned over to us. now,
Correct.
Our street now.
Yep.
I mean, if wishes could be fishes, that street would be wider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have a shoulder and
And a-
room, and then we'd actually have the trail sidewalk
Right.
too, for
And
the
then we'd
amount of
have an
traffic that's
overpass.
on that thing.
If wishes could be fishes, we'd
Yeah.
have overpass.
underground tunnels.
I just wondered if, so I picked up a couple things. I sat with Marcy today and just getting more tutelage on at the foot of the budget master, because I'm still trying to make all this stuff make sense. Yeah, right, the funds and everything. We have some responsibilities to ourselves for like some of our fund balances and things that I'm not sure we've checked off against what we've done here. Like we're supposed to have 25% in reserve for road use, some of these other funds. But the other thing that I saw is like, we do have some places like local option sales. We've got a pretty sizable reserve, and I'm not sure what we were setting on ourselves as a reserve requirement. I'm just wondering if there's some places where we have city reserves beyond
The policy.
beyond our policy and beyond what we all agree is fiscally and conservatively safe. That we could tap some of those reserves to do some of these things. Now, last year, our budget, we deficit spent. I mean, it looks like we spent more than we, so
Especially on
we
streets.
tapped into those
Yeah.
reserves. Yes, streets for sure. I'm just asking the question. I'm not, we're looking at a static picture of fiscal year to fiscal year. We're not. I'm just kind of asking the question if we should stare at some of those fund balances like general and others. Can we tap into that without hurting our position as a city to get the safety concern dealt with?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
That's a great idea.
You probably are you're probably the only person that knows about this document from 2019.
That's our budget policy, which I.
So it just talks about like some of the percentages.
That meeting,
yeah.
5 years ago. That was a good one. Woo!
We're supposed to review it annually at budget
Yeah,
time.
we need to look at it.
So here we go.
So I kind of had come across it because I didn't know about it, and I kind of a little bit at the last meeting, and so Brian and I talked about it, and I kind of put some notes together today on it. So part of the guideline is the contingency reserve. This is weird to me. Contingency reserve of $25,000 in each annual budget. Then if you don't use it, you put it back into the general fund. I don't
That's what the
really know.
general fund is. The general
Right.
fund is the contingency. Yeah.
Here, we're okay, so whatever our general fund budget, 25% of those budgeted operating expenditures, 25% is this amount for what we're budgeting next year for expenditures of the general fund.
We don't
have-
have much cushion.
we
It's
have
general
Is
fund.
that 589?
Yeah.
Quite see
Yep.
it, okay.
But we have $794,000.
That's what I
in the
mean.
general
If we're-
fund as of today.
If we're
We have
oversaved,
794,000 in our general fund.
Yes.
Correct, and we need to have at
and
least
for
this
our budget
600.
policy, we need to be at 600, putting what we said we wanted to spend
So we
next
got
year.
$190,000.
So if we're
Over
over
reserve.
reserved, it's like we have more in savings. The question is, when do you spend down your savings and what do you spend it for? And not put yourself into a risky
So then
spot.
but then
But
we're,
the city's not there to save.
Right. We're not,
We're not here to save money, make money.
we're not there to build a balance sheet.
Right.
We're there to make the best use and the best
Right.
fiscal steward use of
That's a
people's
great-
money.
Right. So here, according to this, then also 25% fund reserve in these other categories. So we currently have 0 in road use or street reserves. I feel like this amount of money probably should be going here, because that's how it read on the budget, but it was put it in here,
Can you
but
make that a little larger?
sure.
Cheaters.
I have my contact in.
How's that?
Contact.
So,
That's
Just
close
one?
up.
our water reserves right now is 100,000. But if you take the 25% of the water budget,
Our rules
Should be
are
200.
Short.
sewer,
I don't worry about those two as much though, because they're
It's
they're
constant.
generating
circular
revenue.
funds that are generating revenue all the time by people
Right.
that live here.
right, it was doesn't matter to me, it's just what the
Those
policy
could be
states.
over reserved, like we're
Right.
asking ourselves to save more there than we need to.
And then the garbage and waste one really probably isn't really a mandatory one, but, because it's really not proprietary, right, except for the compost pile. So I wouldn't really even worry about this. And then it also has 25% for, like, it doesn't really actually have a percent for this. It's more of a, are we saving money to set money aside for
You're
emergencies?
building it up.
So, the police car, we just pay, this is fine, because we just bought a new vehicle, right?
Seems like every year we buy a new vehicle.
Not
Talk
true.
about bougie.
Sometimes we buy it a year early.
Not true.
But I
The
think-
last car we got rid of, I had.
Sometimes we buy it, don't even pick it up for a year.
That's right.
Sitting here for you. We've been waiting.
It's pretty, it's pretty.
It's true. And then we talked about using some of these reserves for Stacy. For her floor downstairs.
Yeah.
So we have talked about that, but we've got, money that, so these ones aren't really hurting because we're putting money aside every month essentially for those. Every year for this one. This one, we have budgeted another 25,000 this year. I don't know where this amount came from, but I feel like it probably was supposed to go I don't know, project/equipment, was it really supposed to go into street reserves? Because that's what the explanation on the transfer document that Karen always did, said it was for future parking lots and streets and whatever.
Okay.
But even still, $25,000 just gives you half of a street.
Yeah.
It's 50 grand to do one street. So I'd like to see us try to, bulk these up a bit more.
And that's no curb and that,
Right.
Yeah.
sorry.
And then it talks about like our debt limit, which Heidi keeps us in line with. And this one is fine too, like it's actually 20%. Yeah, so,
But we want to be low on those.
Right.
We don't want to be borrowing.
Are we talking about taking out of the general fund?
or out of
and
lost and franchise.
Move it into these other ones so they look better on the balance
Well,
sheet?
Lost has got like 300,000 in it.
Well, I think that like at the end of this year, even with, we've already transferred, we have like $300,000 or $215,000 in losses. Is that what we said, Brian?
Something like that.
But we've already given the 100,000 to Kelly Oaks for this year. And then there's another 75 that'll go to the general.
Accruing. I mean, the.
Right, we'll put $75,000 additional from there to the general fund this year. But then we'll also get $25,000 roughly each month, so we're still gonna end up at
We're refilling-
$300,000 at the end
refilling
of the
that.
year, so why couldn't we? I mean, but we also need to make sure that we're not negative in road use at the end of the year, because right now we're negative still in road
And
use.
we're probably behind on what we actually need to do in roads, right?
Right, so I would think, and I can sit down and look at both lost and franchise and say, okay, let's throw this much money into the street so we can get something out there, because we don't even have an emergency stash, essentially. Let's get, build up some of these reserves, and then we're gonna need to put some into, some of these areas that are negative. And we don't have to necessarily throw it on the budget, we can kind of just see where we end up next year. Maybe we won't end up negative 50. Maybe we'll be okay on these. It always kind of, depends on the expenses, and there's always some cushion for expenses, but Annette and I really kind of honed it down with Dean especially, where it's like, well, what if something happens? Well, that's what we have the reserve account for. We don't need to budget $50,000 for this. Last year we spent
We should make
$5.
sure we're
Let's
retaining
make
the
sure
right
we have
amount
money in
those reserve
reserves
accounts
for
and then not
those
more than-
emergencies. So we can get this number to be a little bit more realistic.
And not to say that we like to use the budget amendment, but the budget amendment is there for these types of reasons.
Right.
If we have something come up.
Which is, to transfer the reserve
Correct, yeah.
money.
Yep.
So I'd like to see, and the cash report I can pull up too for the end of January, but it's for the next
I'm
meeting.
not sure why we should have a big balance in the lost fund.
Yeah, I don't know.
Versus be using those funds as they come in and, I don't know. I don't know what the
Well,
thought
if you'd like,
process is on that.
For the April work session, we can put something together that shows what you two talked about. We can get the policy out to everyone so they can read it
Yeah,
and have a better understanding.
because there might be things that may need to be amended in here too, or changed or updated.
How about we do
or-
that? We look at the policy and then we'll bring it back for the work session.
Well, we want to be safe. The question is like, how much do we want to keep as a safety net?
But those reserve
City
accounts is
has?
where
That's what those are
money,
for.
not necessarily lost it.
Right.
In the general fund and having
Lost
it
and
sit there.
franchise, I'd be like, those could probably be spent out. Let's keep the right cushion in general, figure out what that is. Make sure we keep that, it's like having your 6 month of, for your home, you get
So then
6 months of my
potentially
expenses.
We
That's
have our
what we're doing.
$300,000 we need. In reserves.
Do we?
Well, I need to do some calculations to see where we're gonna be before the end of the year in road use, because,
We're
We're in a
negative.
deficit.
right, that, we haven't also transferred the ARPA money yet either. Remember, we reestablished waiting for the generator to get done, so I can pay that and then
Potentially, we
whatever.
might have.
Potentially, we potentially couldn't have, as long as I would like to see a
Else that
little bit
way.
of put in the reserves. Sure. Like especially for the streets, I think that was,
We could look at it and decide we don't want
and
to
then
change
we could say,
anything, but I
hey,
think
yeah, we
should
probably could
Right,
do some
stare
of
at
this
it.
work.
But I
and
think
get
it makes
started.
sense.
Opportunity.
it makes sense not to have basically reserves in two spots.
Right,
Right.
Are we getting a hard and fast quote on putting that in? Because these numbers are Dean's, right?
yeah, I don't know where
These are
he,
Dean's
Yeah,
numbers.
so are we, is somebody,
If I
Prices
do,
off of-
if I go back to MSA, it's gonna be probably 2,000 to get that number.
But we have to have it, right? I mean, it's not.
I'm just letting you know up front. I mean,
So
I mean,
was that,
I could-
and I
yeah,
briefly
have it.
looked at it as I'm driving down Highway 20.
Super safe.
I am an insurance guy.
Gee.
Was there any engineering fees in that, Dean's?
no.
That goes on top of that, that's gonna be engineered, right?
Well, was there a contingency fee in there?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
20%.
yeah.
It was 250 grand and then a
Yep.
20%
Right.
contingency took the 300.
So,
yeah, we can sit down and kind of hammer out some numbers, see where we think we need to be before the end of the year for like road use and getting
Forecasting.
that. And then how much we could throw, if you can forecast some of those numbers and say, okay, here's what we'll have left in loss at the end of the year, here's what we'll have left in franchise fees and the general fund. And look, because that $75,000 that we're supposed to transfer from loss to the general fund, why do we don't really need to do that. And we have
And then
an
it just
abundance.
adds to our
we have
balance in the general fund. Yeah, how much
Right, 'cause
we
we
have
have a-
reserved
yeah,
there,
'cause
what
we
do
have that
wanna hold there?
surplus.
Are we right on track as far as where our general fund is for how we are? Spent 60% expenses, like, will
I
we
think
have
we're-
more in the general fund at the end of this fiscal
I
year?
think that we're on pace for most of our things. We have a few other things to amend, but most of the amendments that things like that. A lot of,
Just didn't know if that buffer would play us, like, you know, we have that extra money.
She's like, do you have extra money
So
that I
depends on
can?
that sprinkler system too. I'm trying to get money for the sidewalk.
I get it. So
And the
we'll come back with that. We'll come back with a revised policy for the next work session, and then I'll reach out to Jake and
Okay.
get a good number from
Yeah,
him.
sounds
Okay.
Perfect, it's good.
I bet it's more than 2,000. Every time I get their bill, I'm like, whoa.
Well, I think most of the work's done. What do you mean?
That's
Like, Kelly,
That's the only
it's-
10,000 bill today.
No, as
10,000.
far as the estimating, so that's a discussion for another time. but-
so,
Okay.
As far as getting something done?
No.
We have no
We
money.
have nothing, there's
Did we
nothing.
hear back from Henson's office at all?
Yeah,
Oh,
About
Yeah,
a
that?
time ago.
yeah.
That'll be in my, did I put that in my weekly summary last week?
I think you were waiting for a call back.
I got the email back from, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, it has to go to here, to here, to here, to here for the president.
Yes, and we do get the 1.5 million.
Yeah,
We just haven't heard back from DNR yet if that site's been approved. That's kind of the holdup of giving AJ the money. I don't want to pay for the lot, the acreage, and then find out that we're the proud owner of 3 acres now. That's on the opposite side
all
of the
the food
highway.
trucks to go park at.
Oh, I see what you did.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Actually, there was talk about when we started making an area down in the industrial park for food trucks.
I understand the need for them down there a lot better. It's almost like your main drive restaurant sometimes, but we're done.
I didn't know they were parking them at St. John's. I was like,
Okay, anyway, we got the 1.5 million.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, so, and it has to be signed by the president, and he thought it would be signed next week. I believe, because I got it in my,
I don't remember
I'm working on my
seeing all that.
summary.
I vaguely remember.
I think it's in their summary.
There's a few of them.
Yeah, it's in there. I started my
But I
draft.
talked to Ashley about restaurant stuff or, it was like, hey, and she goes, actually, I just found out, I think it's all gonna be good. I'm like, oh, amazing. What about restaurant stuff?
Okay, the current deadline for the
Like, no.
appropriation bill is March 8th, which is tomorrow. So if everything goes according to plan, it'll be signed into law by the weekend. There we go. So again, we just have to wait for
Future point.
Black and white.
that's all. DNR to give us, I'll shut up.
I'm listening.
I'm listening.
It'll be in my summary tomorrow.
So read it this week. Any more discussion here, or just kind of let you guys work a little bit more on it, because you haven't done enough yet?
We're good with it.
I appreciate that. We all appreciate that.
We gotta order more.
we're trying to work magic.
We're gonna bring a box of Miracle Grow
Yes, I like it.
From a money tree.
and a box of Lucky Charms.
It is National Cereal Day today. so-
Is it really?
It is. Yeah.
I heard that today and I'm like, oh, I'm doing low
They just told
carb,
me
I'm
that
doing
this
low
morning.
carb, so it's like I haven't had it.
What about beer? Beer is carbs, isn't it?
You gotta choose where you do
Oh, you
carbs.
choose your carbs. Got it.
Every day. All right. Resolution amending the City of Piasta fee schedule.
Okay, I think I have an explanation or I have some
Move the fees
words
for
in there.
settlements and live to add a fee for administration. Pounded dog, recommendation for 2.0 size. To what the humane society level. Submitted for the fee to first at City Hall before the Humane Society releases them. Currently, staff communication coordinators dedicating over 80 hours following up on dog license registration. Time spent on this lingers into the month of March, letters sent out to each dog owner. Currently, we have 353 that we know of, 20 dogs that are not licensed. And then another letter is sent after that. So we're doing a lot of chasing
Yes, dogs.
We are.
dogs.
You know, long story
Literally.
short on this, if somebody doesn't have a permit or, like a tag for their dog, it goes to Humane Society. Humane Society charges $120 to us, or I'm sorry, $110 to us, you know, that we eat, right? But then when people come back in to get their dog at the Humane Society, they have to pay, don't quote me on like $150 to get their dog from there. What I'm recommending is, if they don't get their license, shame on you, you know, because the license serves a purpose, because then when we see it, if the dog gets loose, we see it, we'll bring it back to their home.
Right.
You know, it's kind of an insurance clause is what I look at. Now, if they don't do that, let's tack our $110 fee that we get, you know, the city has to pay, tack that onto them as a, I'm not saying it's a fine, you know, but let's get our administrative.
They're
money
making
back
us
on it.
whole, because we're paying that.
Yeah,
correct.
So how do we get paid on that?
How do we get paid? So what I would do is I contact the Humane Society and say, hey, if somebody comes in for their dog, this is their dog, you have to speak with the city to,
Or
before you
Get them
pay
in
the
jail.
administrative fee.
They're willing to do that?
I haven't talked to them about
Right.
that yet. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. I can ask them, I don't see it, they have a problem with it. Hey, you can't get your dog out until you go to the city.
I don't have approval from the city.
Right.
And then they have to pay their $20 dog license too.
Yeah.
And I can't stress that 80 hours, that is, I'm low,
You're
that's
just
low,
being conservative.
very conservative.
Yeah, Shawnee spends a lot of time on it, and then she'll go, hey, there's 30 people, 40 people that just won't pay their license. Can you go knock on the door? And I said, no,
So that
I don't
makes-
believe I need to police people paying their bills. That's not what you're for, is to knock on their door and say, you need to pay your bill.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I got this, thinking of this, like, we need to do something about this.
And so letters, and then we send out the letters, so then there's the cost of that and the letterhead
Twice.
and.
Just some people just.
And then the postage, and then she sends out another one in February, and I mean, it's March and they were due January 1.
And she's even went as far as to call them. If she knows them, she will text them.
She's a hound dog.
We
She
can put,
goes
we
after.
can put the little, we can put it in the newsletter, on Facebook.
It's just not,
She-
Animal.
It is, it's trying to.
she's an animal.
We'll call her animal control.
We can post it on Facebook, post it in the newsletter, we can put the little
We can't
note on
afford
the
that
water
raise.
bill that says you have to still pay and you still need to
Doing your
license your
animal
dog.
control.
But it's at your risk, so if you don't,
What really is the consequence if people don't license their dog?
they're gonna pay the $110 if the
They're
dog
gonna-
gets
if
out.
their dog
If
gets-
their dog-
Today, there's really no consequence unless the dog is.
Correct.
If the dog
They're
gets
still
out,
not- they're just-
And that's why I'm saying it's not a fee, it's.
It's really not really even a consequence. They just have to pay to get it out of.
Right now, they just have to go to the, go to the main site.
And get
This would
pick
be
up
in
their
addition
dog
to that.
and we
Yeah,
pay.
this would be an addition.
Yeah, but we're paying the
Right.
Humane Society.
That's
to
correct.
track the
right,
dog.
I don't think
And
we should
again,
be
this isn't a
paying
lot.
not
We
getting-
take in roughly 5 dogs a year-ish, some maybe
And
more.
on cast to mom,
More
people
cats
like,
than
whose
dogs.
dog is this? And somebody claims it.
Yeah, and a lot of times we can put the dog online before we go, hey, whose dog is
There's
it?
a dog standing
9
on the
times out of
corner.
10, somebody will say, oh, that's so-and-so's dog.
That's Joe, he'll be fine.
So now when you do
He likes
that,
it there.
do you check to see they have a license?
Yes, we normally do, yes.
If they have a
Yep.
tag on,
If
Mike
they have a
calls
tag.
us. So Mike has a list of everybody with the tag number, so he knows exactly whose dog it is.
A lot of times people don't put their tags on though, too. But shame on you.
I was just,
Or go to-
Yeah, Mark.
My little fence collar doesn't have a place to put it on.
On you.
I'll take the risk. My dogs
So
will get out.
again, it's an
I have
insurance
invisible
policy
fence.
for $20 that, you know,
Do this, can she just stop chasing it?
yes. That's what
One
we're
letter to remind people it's time to renew.
Yes.
One final letter, saying
We
final
won't
letter.
even be sending a letter at
And then-
all because it takes her an immense amount of time to do that first mailing.
And honestly, money too. I mean, like she's sending, you know, household or.
Well, your time too.
We just
Your
put it
time.
in the newsletter, we send an email, we put it on Facebook, hey, dog licenses are new, you will not be getting a letter. They're due by this day, you know,
No,
we
that's
can
good.
put
I
those
was thinking
reminders
more
out.
like to make sure they got an annual notice, like it's dog license time.
Well, and we can educate them throughout the
We
year.
can put it on the water
Later
bill.
in the year, we can let, newsletters, the website.
Yep.
just-
That's good. No
we can
extra
even put
letters,
something in the
no extra
TH.
chasing.
Correct.
I'm good with it. All right.
Yeah, and then they go to doggy jail.
That's right.
That's where I spend most of my money. Dog knows.
Jeff's gonna go put the tag on
Okay,
it.
so that next item is the actual ordinance that we just
Yeah,
discussed.
Yeah, there's, we split.
I just, like, did you read the last line on it? Where did it go?
I hereby certify.
I'm here. Are you? They shall be
It's right here.
disposed of in a
Right.
humane manner as directed by the city council.
I'm not directing, I'm not directing no dog to get euthanized.
In a humane manner, though, they're gonna,
Has that ever happened? No. Will it ever happen?
if no dogs are
We save homing.
Because
We
we'll just
disposed
put it
of
in
it in
Alexi's
the-
yard and she'll take.
No,
care of
I just
that.
told him, I was like, our dog, we had a dog, it went to grandma, grandpa's and Cheryl. and
Ah,
it's fine.
So it went
Is that what your parents told you?
No, not my mom and dad. Jesse's mom and dad.
Yeah, it went, yeah.
It went to a farm in Cheryl.
There was an empty.
He's got other puppies there.
I don't know why.
He was
Neither.
disposed of in humane manner,
Alright.
don't worry.
So do we want that in there or not? Is that what you're saying? You
I
want that
just,
in there? Would
made me laugh. It sounded like we
It's
were
not
gonna put it
hurting
down if
anything.
nobody came
Nobody's
back
gonna
in 7 days.
Yeah, nobody claims it.
No one comes in 7 days.
But it says 7 days after
Disposed
notice,
of.
so are we notifying them?
Maybe-
Dog's been put in,
There's no way for us to notify.
we don't know
Because
because
we
they're
don't
not
know they're-
licensed, right? But it says if they're not claimed within 7 days after notice, who's noticing, who's notified?
Such dogs are not claimed.
Nobody claims it.
But there's a way to, we can post it on our website, or Felice can post it.
So if we take a dog and to the Humane Society and nobody ever claims it, we just pay the fee?
Yes,
Because
It's a one-time.
And maybe
it's a one-time fee.
Which I wouldn't imagine
Maybe,
happens.
again, it's five dogs a year, maybe, I'm talking maybe, I mean, we had more cats than
Which
dogs last year, to be honest.
more
They're
people
strays.
Probably take,
And honestly, with the strays, if they're actual strays, I'll take them to my parents' farm and,
I'll take my
just to get them
strays.
out.
I got 2 of them,
No,
Hissy and Eddie.
you're feeding them.
We just find a nice
Well,
bridge.
But us and Willis are sharing 2, and we haven't had a mouse in 3 years, nobody.
We're out good mouse or something.
So
We just have 2.
what is the purpose of having that if not after 7 days, if no notice is made? Is that from?
Yeah, maybe is that the Humane
I think
Society's
that's how I'm
policy?
reading it.
That they hold them for 7 days and
Is
at
that
the end of
their
that, it's an unclaimed dog.
Probably.
Probably, I would assume that's,
We have to pull up I can pull up the contract.
yeah, I don't have
with
the
them.
contract in front of me, I guess I don't know about.
The Humane Society.
So yes, the Humane Society can, euthanize.
Yeah, but I think they're a no-kill shelter now.
I believe so
New
too
one is.
now.
So
Now.
unless it's for safety reasons,
Correct,
if it's just because they
like
got
rabbit
a
or
dog,
something,
yeah.
yes, right.
They don't, so
Maybe-
we don't have to
maybe
worry.
it could-
Just take
We
it
don't,
out.
we shouldn't have to worry about
We
that.
can just take it out or we can have it say something like, it'll be handled per the policies of the Humane Society.
Or like,
You know?
it'll be.
City
kept
council.
under the Humane
City
Society.
City council isn't.
City council is
And I don't want it to say
directing.
anything about disposed humane manner, directed by city council, I don't want it to say that.
Mind you, this was what was in the old.
I know,
The only change is
Right, code update.
administrative fee, okay?
Which is why we're bringing up these ordinances.
That's
Might as well,
mine.
might as well add it.
Cats, go, sorry.
Such dogs are not claimed within 7 days after notice.
Reading it,
We're cooking them up.
I just know we have insurance policy.
Brian, what did you say? There's just too many.
Let's see, if dogs that are unclaimed
An event of
are
loss,
handled
number
per the
7,
policies of the
suffering from
Humane
a
Society.
credit treatment.
Yeah, I think that's.
Treatment, okay.
Because they could change their policy.
Because, and the city's really out of it at the point we hand the stray dog over, we're out.
Too much of positive.
It made me laugh when I read that.
Okay,
It's
so
not
it
funny,
sounds
but-
like I'll change that and then I'll just put that on the agenda for next Tuesday.
Sure.
You okay with
That'd be
that?
awesome.
And here's what the Humane Society says, Piast animals that are untagged or not microchipped should be held for 3 days, while animals with registration or tags shall be held for 7. That's the
That's where
notice
it's
that we would
coming
give,
from,
or is required by state law if different. After notifications to the owner as
Make
the,
this generic.
Yeah,
yeah, we
Yeah.
can make it
That's-
generic per the agreement with the Humane Society, because that's what we have this for.
yeah, dogs that claim are handled for the Humane Society policy, just leave it.
Somebody picked up their golden retriever last weekend, should we vote?
Yeah.
Whether, what we gotta do with them?
Alright, so we just improved.
I'm sorry. Next one?
Good,
Good.
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 Ordinance amending traffic code chapter 70, traffic regulation.
Yep, so this one is, we'll just go through the first one, obstructing view at intersections. We don't have that code, and I noticed a lot of cities do have this code, and I think it's very important that we do have this code for the future, for one. 2, we actually do have an issue in town that I can't enforce without this code, and that issue is at the Helly residence right off of Hansel Circle. And do you have those pictures to show?
How are you gonna tell
Remember those pictures?
I don't
And it's you.
Did you, so when you're at the intersection, there's hedges, like, right now, just with the deadness of it, it's still 10 feet tall, but you can still see through barely. But when it's during the summertime, when it's full, complete blockage. So what this ordinance would do is make them have to trim it down to 2 feet so you can see over those. And I was talking with Doug Herman about it, and there's a 25-foot variance on, from street to street, and then it makes a diagonal. And that's what we're suggesting
I am
to
in the
do.
meeting, yeah.
Straight to straight.
So 25 feet, street to street, you know, like if you're at the intersection like this, and then 25 feet, and then make the diagonal. And where they have that at, there's actually a sidewalk, where a sidewalk could go, you know, like the concrete is sawed off where the sidewalk.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have that there. It's around basically the street sign there. It's decorative. It looks beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I think it could be a safety issue coming up.
Pictures?
Is it true?
We do. I do encourage you to drive by, you
I
know.
think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's right on the corner lot of Hansel with the first drive when you're going in.
Remember like all the.
Find my Jeeper.
Yes,
It was like.
his backyard basically would
You
be,
just put them out there.
yeah, and Helly's would be the first house right
I
there.
thought I did.
On the west
No
side.
notes or anything.
Yeah,
No,
yes,
no
the west,
pictures.
correct.
Go
Yeah.
in on that.
So if you're going, the first entrance to going, it's the first house.
I'll have to log in.
You know what?
Take a left.
So the only reason I know this is because he's my meat manager at work.
Yeah,
It's always cousin. He put him in was because of the way they were plowing snow, they were plowing it right there, and when it melted, it would all melt and flood his basement.
Oh.
So he told me he put those there so they wouldn't put snow there.
interesting, okay.
That's what he told me.
You can still leave them there though, they're just.
Yeah, no, you can still leave them, but
Yeah.
they're gonna have to keep it down to, my
And that's the
suggestion,
only reason I know
other
that.
ordinances are 2 feet to 10 feet. You can't be in,
Hold on, I-
basically 2 foot
I
and
just
above.
remember him telling me
Oh
about
my
that.
God.
It's this one.
Interesting.
Yeah, they had to cut his sidewalk up or something.
Cancel.
Yes,
So
thank you.
right there, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying on that? I mean, I think it could be, and like in the summertime, it's a very big safety feature. When you're sitting at that stop sign right now, just that being it dead, you know, when you're at that stop sign, you can't look over. You have to actually pull ahead to see the street coming on. Yeah. And then you can see where the sidewalk cutout is too, you know? So it would violate that, like I said, that 25-foot variance, you know? That would be included in this ordinance that Doug Herman suggested. That a lot of cities actually have this ordinance, so I just think it's important, one, for this, two, for future, just to have it.
Pretty landscape.
It is pretty, especially in the summer, you just can't see it.
How far back would you have to push that, those,
He'd just have to trim them down.
Yeah.
but I mean, if you wanted to keep the look, how far back would you have to push that back?
25 feet.
But since he did the
25 feet
landscaping there,
From corner to corner is 25 feet, and then like, so like this, and then add that diagonal, like,
So it's the corner.
imaginary
That's a
line.
lot.
It's literally that corner.
Like
25 feet here,
That's a
just put
lot.
a cross on it.
That's what's suggested in
I
the,
think that seems like a lot.
that's what every city has.
Yep.
So,
We should
I mean,
try
that's over
these.
half of
We
his
should-
yard, I bet. That side, right?
Oh, it'd be pretty far.
I would say it's probably that light pole area, 25 feet, maybe a little bit past that, yeah. I mean, I'm not a measuring technician here, you know, but yeah,
I bet that's not 25 feet.
yeah, I mean, it'd go past that probably another, 10 feet or so, you know.
Just push it back quite a bit.
Again, if we had the ordinance, all I'm asking is he trim it down to 2 feet. Just keep it trimmed so we can see through. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking to
Yeah, take
get
out the
rid of it.
So do we
Take out
have
the
to put in
ornamental
the-
grasses.
do we
Just
have
the
to put
ornamental
the-
grass behind, you know, the bushes in the front, they're fine.
Yeah, they'd be okay.
Right.
It's just the
Do
grass.
we have to do the
And if he
25
doesn't
feet
like
and
that, then
25
he can
feet?
remove the grass portion
Yeah.
and, or, you know, he can put that somewhere else, if that's the case.
You think it would be safe if it was less than 25 feet? That just seems like.
Or can
so
we
long,
just-
you know?
I'm just saying that's
We
what the
have to
ordinance
cut-
is in every other community.
That's our
Asking a
ordinance,
different
so if we
question.
change it for one corner, then we're gonna have to change it for everybody.
Yeah, and I don't know.
You're gonna have to go back
We
and
have
check
that in
it.
our ordinance already.
Yes.
Yeah, and Doug
That's in our
Herman,
zoning
he's
code
the one that
ordinance.
suggested that, you know, each
Well,
lot,
Okay,
yeah.
just clarifying.
So then what's gonna happen the rest of the town? I mean, are we gonna,
I'm not,
Or on
like I said, I'm
every
not
corner
asking
and
him to
say
get rid of it. I'm
25
asking
to
him to keep
25.
it trimmed, and if he doesn't keep it trimmed, we would have issues as in violation of ordinance, but he
That's
would be
clear
fine.
from
Which
2
I'm
feet
sure
to
that he
10
would
feet,
take
you have
care
to
of
be
it.
clear,
Right.
visibility.
but that's what I'm
Kelly's
wondering
are
though,
pretty
is
good
are we?
people.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're gonna be buck out of it, I just,
Explain it.
correct, right.
I'll break it.
But I just wonder,
There you go, yeah, break the
There
ice.
There you go, yeah.
I'm sorry,
If he does, you gotta
you
be.
know, like, think about, I'm just saying like, each house.
So switch,
25
you
feet,
can cut it
25
off.
feet, 10 in, that's, it just seems like a lot.
I lived at a
I just
corner
wonder
lot
if there's a
of
way to
Cedar
make
Island,
it
and
safer without putting in the numbers, the measurements of 25, 25, 10.
That becomes
Just being like,
arbitrary.
you're on a corner, keep Your bush is short.
Then it becomes arbitrary, there's no.
I think it should be whatever it's supposed to be, so it's safe for the cars. And there probably is some rationale behind how these numbers are the standard in zoning in other
Most people
cities.
get it.
Yeah.
This was
The
suggested
purpose
by
of the-
Doug Herman.
Yeah.
That's the only
The
reason.
purpose for this gentleman that did this is to keep us dropping snow there. Those green bushes.
He
are wrong.
suggested because we got an email
Yeah.
from another city that's asked us if we
Yeah,
had
true.
it.
True, that's true. That's how it's started.
Yeah,
That's very
started.
true.
Probably
Park
would.
it somewhere else on the street,
It's a-
down the
Like
street.
Trimble.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a pretty reasonable person. He'd probably be like, yeah, that's fine, I'll trim it down, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody ever asked him, I don't know.
It'll be fine.
But I still think it's important to have this
I
ordinance.
believe that it is as well.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Yeah, this
And I
is,
think we should put it
and
in
it needs
the,
to be standard, so. we're-
yeah, and I think
Be it
if 25 feet is the standard, I believe that's the way we should draft the ordinance. That we have it, so that if there was an accident at this intersection because they were.
Personally, if I was a defense attorney, I'd go violation on the. I just said,
As well as the city, after we've had this discussion and said, no, we don't want to do.
Don't bring it up.
Okay, are we good with that one? We go to the next.
I think we're all good with that one?
Yeah, I just have one more question, I'm sorry.
Yep,
all right.
So what other
Oh,
issues,
special.
like, I'm going around looking at all the street corners
All
now.
corners now, we
So
got.
I'm looking
So the
at,
only one, like for an issue, another issue that I could bring up, like, it's not an issue yet, but Matt Jan's residence, if you look on Birds, at that corner, he puts those bushes around that box, I think it's an electrical box there. Does it get more than 2 feet? I mean, that would be another, that's where I saw another issue. Yeah, 2 feet's that high, but I mean, if it goes up and it's blocking that intersection, we could go to them and say, can you please
Yeah.
trim that down? So you're,
So is that part of the standard ordinance, 25 feet or 2
according
feet?
to Doug, yes. According to Doug. yes.
It's in our zoning code of ordinances for setbacks,
across,
Streets where they come together, it's.
so you'd have to take that out to a public hearing, back to planning and zoning,
Correct.
public hearing.
When it comes to that point, so you can kind of judge a point, yeah.
Math teacher.
That's right.
Alex. Yeah,
I just wonder, some of these houses, they just got built on just crazy corners that just
that takes a lot of the
wonder
yard
if it's
out.
gonna.
But it doesn't say.
And again,
So they can still do whatever they want there, it's just
You can
visible.
have nice landscaping there, it just can't be
It's
afforded.
Right, just don't block the view of the road. That's what it comes down to. Go back to that one, it was in, was it? So right below that was a parade regulation. I know it's very minor. I was looking at ordinances, and again, we don't have a parade regulated ordinance, which means, yes, we come to you guys for routes or, basically the approval. This is actually to cover the city for having this. Every other city has this also. It's just more or less, we're covering our grounds on it.
It also means somebody could just
Correct.
hold their own parade.
That's
without
correct.
Talking to us
Correct.
first,
Yeah.
which they haven't.
Yeah.
Never know.
I was thinking about it.
Well, how does remember back in COVID when
I don't know.
They
drove around.
they drove around and did that stuff? Do you remember that?
I don't remember, I honestly
It
don't.
was Doug and his folks would
But
drive.
they had permission from the police.
I don't know if they did or not.
I don't remember though, honestly. I really don't, but
Would that fall into this?
I would have, so as long as they have permission from me or Annette, that's on the bottom, I think it's on number
Approval from the council with the.
council and direction from,
Or it's even.
yeah, and a lot of this, again, this is just to cover us saying, Cody, or go to the police chief or fire department or Annette or somebody to get approval, then go to, because a lot of times when you're asking for a parade, you have time, you know what I mean? Like, they do it in advance. No, I mean, we could still, I can go to you guys and say, hey, we want to hold this parade. I'm good with it, and that's good with it, you guys okay with it? Yeah, we're gonna do it, you know what I mean? This is more or less just to cover it now.
So is that discussion, can we have a parade or it's also us, I don't wanna say dictating, but dictating the route of said parade as well? Is
Yeah,
that the
well,
idea?
absolutely, it would be, yeah, it would be, yeah.
So if he has today
You gotta
comes
word
and
it.
says, I wanna use Birds, like always, whatever, we'd be
Right.
like, no, I want you to go to the Red River.
Well,
like you
it would be an agreement. I mean, again, it would be
Give and take.
give and take, correct?
Because I'm just thinking back in COVID when the fire department was doing those parades for the kids during birthdays. I don't think those were ever really free, and now it's.
Again,
I feel like it was just a fire truck or a couple of trucks on that
Yeah.
parade.
I think you would.
yeah, it would technically
Like
have to.
three less
Yeah.
vehicles?
Where's the definition of?
Number one, parade means any march or
If we all
procession
follow
of
each other
persons
back,
or-
Because parade means any march
That's
or
parade.
procession of persons or vehicles or
Correct.
or moving on the streets in an organized fashion or manner or any march or procession.
Okay.
Who writes this stuff, attorneys?
So protest could be a parade.
Like I said,
I think we
my
need to
point is,
start
I'm not gonna want to
charging
discourage that.
Right.
We should just need to communicate that if they,
Oh, it would be.
whoever wants to do something, then that's fine, we just need to get pre-approval.
Yeah, and know,
And they-
know what the plan is.
And all they have to do is come to me and say, hey, or whoever, just go to you guys and say, hey, care if we do this?
Not a great idea.
If you guys are okay with it, I don't want to limit.
We're gonna come to
Right,
you.
no, right. This is
Come
more
to
or
us,
less,
we're gonna come to you.
correct, general public saying, I'm going down the street and having a parade on their own when, now they need,
That's all done.
intersections,
Yeah,
walk, stuff like that.
Those might.
Do,
That's basically what it's-
when they have funerals, that kind of stuff, do they?
So that's a funeral,
Like,
funeral
like,
processions are
parade
different,
route,
yeah,
just
so
go
it
around
will
the mountain.
assist them on that. Funeral cars actually have the rights to the road, you know what I mean, that when they have their lights and they're doing,
But they're.
everybody's supposed to stop for funeral processions. Yep.
So that's not great.
It's not.
That is not a parade, that is procession.
Not fun, it's not great.
It's a procession, but it's not.
We're gonna start charging for parades and it's per access.
What's going on here?
And it goes to the road bus.
Gonna have a lot of walkers.
Oh, no, that's a peddler.
I didn't.
Peddling free candy, dum-dums, Tootsie Rolls.
On number two there, I don't have a problem with city administration approving that stuff. All that stuff doesn't necessarily have to come to the.
Yes, I agree with you.
Like a small, the way this would read, it has to obtain approval of council. That means it has to be in a
So I
monthly
think-
cycle. before-
So we could change the, saying
Like,
that
if
it's
you guys
approved
think
by
it's-
me, fire
yeah.
department or Ned to do it or whatever, but we always bring it to you
But-
guys here, you care, we
Yeah.
just keep
Or
bringing
it
it to
could
you.
be your discretion if you feel like you want council
Right.
review because it's a bigger thing.
Or, yeah, or if it's something that I
Well, I
feel
put
like
that
it's
in my weekly summary to you.
not.
that-
Right, we do the procedures.
Okay.
And so we don't want to-
Not great.
That's a parade.
I like that, there's no reason for us to have to make those decisions.
No.
Unless
not the
Mike
small
feels,
stuff.
let's,
But if they feel like it needs
it's
a
a bad
wider view,
thing.
it's a big
Yeah.
thing, then let's have it.
Yes.
Then they can.
I'll put it in my
their
weekly
discretion, they can
summary and
bring
then
it.
that way you know if it's a bigger parade.
Right.
Mike's
Yeah,
at our
two parades
meetings,
a
he
year.
can just say, hey, just wanna bring this up in his
Yeah.
monthly summary if it's,
So there's really the public
just so we're
safety
aware of it. I think it's good to,
It
know
is.
we're
So
aware of
are we
Ultimate.
Is the issue.
taking language out of this then?
Yes,
Yeah,
it says
I don't
you should
think,
approve by
without
the
first
council.
obtaining approval
So
from the
he's
council.
basically saying number two, taking out the
we don't have to,
approval from.
we can take that
Just say,
extra
say
step out.
from the police or city
Without
administrator.
first obtaining approval from the
I
city.
would say fire chief, police chief, and city administrator.
There you go.
and,
Or.
Not
Correct.
and.
Are you sure
or.
fire chief,
Yeah,
because you might find out like the morning of.
Yeah.
By the way, we're burning this. Oh, by the way, we're having a parade
Right.
tomorrow.
We work together well, I mean, it's.
You have it be city administrator, and then it falls to a position that can make the decision.
Good, because I just stopped on that one. Am I done?
Discretion.
Okay.
That's all for tonight anyway for ordinances, right?
yes,
Okay.
If we add an ordinance, we have to take one away.
That's right.
Have to get it.
You
wanna double the work?
You start looking.
Unfortunately, it doesn't
Stop,
work
we
that
need to
way.
start looking.
I think we're gonna take the ordinance for, food away.
Away.
There we go.
There you go.
We balanced everything out tonight.
Everything's easy.
That's still two, you gotta take two away every time. there's one.
That's right. So we
Quarterly
talked about
goal
it.
setting review. Here we are.
Still trying to catch up from the last one here.
That's right. Number one priority, continue to expand trail sidewalk system through city and work on old.
I think we had a pretty robust discussion about that earlier.
Number two, then have we done housing, traffic and compensation? We're gonna. Number two priority, housing, traffic and compensation studies.
The housing study,
We were delegating to ECIA, right?
the housing study PEDC is working with ECIA on the cost for that. That's the last I heard of it. Traffic study is going to be conducted this spring. We wanted to get the turn lane project completed because we wanted an accurate count. And the compensation study will cost anywhere
Like
from,
page 3, okay, that's where it says initiatives and programs. This was the prioritization. Next page, right there.
and the compensation study is going to be all over the board. It just depends on how in-depth you want to get with that, anywhere from 15 to 45,000. So if we're going to do that, I would just recommend just giving everybody a raise.
Be easier.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, we don't have the money in the budget to just throw
No, 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 I'm just
$45,000
saying-
towards, right, towards a
Yeah, I mean, if
study,
you kind
just to
of
say you need to pay
apples to
people more.
apples, yeah. I mean, I have enough information from other cities on what they're paying their folks on similar sized communities up to, larger ones of 60 and 70,000.
I feel like it was also, part of it was just looking at, and maybe there's some kind of looking at like, as we grow, how many, what dictates adding another public works person, adding another.
Yeah, we talked about that, if it's 500 people that we annex in or 1,000
That was
people,
number
that
7.
dictates, yeah.
That's number 7 down there.
But that kind of runs into the property tax reform because we don't have,
Right.
we're losing money, so why would we want to take on more property and add more people? And that review of the comprehensive plan, that will happen after the zoning code of ordinance, planning and zoning. We're waiting on a city of Asbury to complete theirs with ECIA. We do mirror a lot from Asbury. So ECIA, Dan Fox, asked me just to hold off until they get that approved. I'm hoping that they'll accept that at their council meeting in April. And then we talked about this Monday night at planning and zoning, that we would bring it back and start the review over. So that too would, and then we'll just start right up with a comprehensive plan. So they're gonna have a full plate for the rest of the year, just with those two different plans.
You guys have started working on number 4, right? Asset rotation
Yes,
list
Is that
by
done, or
department,
is it still-
by area.
it's done and Brendan's kind of expanded on it right now, so it's growing.
That's got like future projection, right?
It's got,
Stuff
when
that
we,
needs to-
theoretically in a perfect world, this is when we'd like to rotate out this piece of equipment, this vehicle, computers,
Good.
et cetera, et cetera.
So that's done.
Yeah. We ordered pencils.
They only write in the ink.
I don't remember seeing that.
That's the
going
only
across my
pencil
desk.
she wants.
Ink and
It's
whiteout.
for the open house.
When is that?
May 23rd is the open house. We haven't decided. Maybe we'll just talk about that real quick. I'd like to hold it 3 to 6. We close at 4:30. So if I keep staff here, I'm gonna have to pay them for the hour and a half. And I'm really cutting back on overtime everywhere. So
3 to 6?
3 to 6,
So it was May what?
May 23rd.
I think that's probably adequate.
It's a
It's a
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
You think that gives the work community here, give some time to get home from work to be able to
I think
see
if
where they probably won't.
I don't think we're gonna get that big of a turnout.
you're working at a, you're not getting here till 5:30.
How big of a turnout do we actually expect,
Well, that was my
Open houses.
question is,
you know?
does anyone remember how big the turnout was when we had the,
Ice cream social?
is that what it was?
Yeah, it was about 150 people.
The project that will not be
Park
spoken
open
of?
house for the businesses, we had about 5 or 6 people, you know?
Oh, over at the park, yeah.
And quite honestly, if there's an influx of people at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, I'll stay. I don't have an issue with that.
Can we adjust that
Weekend.
from 3:30 to 6:30?
Whatever you would like.
She's asking.
I know you're concerned about overtime, which I get and appreciate. I'm just wondering if
Our goal is.
90% of the people, right, 90% of the people that live here work in the elsewhere. So if they're getting off at 5, they're not getting here until 5:30 and it's rush home.
Well, and I wanted to kind of start it at 3 because there's a lot of people from the industrial park that leave 2:30, 3
That's a
o'clock.
good idea, so they could come see.
If they want to,
They want to stop by before they leave.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
3 to 7, fully staffed by the council.
3 to, you want it 3 to
Bring
7?
it to the office, absolutely, I'll be there.
You're out of the office. If I have to call your boss, I'll do that.
I'm
Exactly.
just asking.
Yeah, you're working.
3 to 7? How about,
I mean, if it, yeah, 3 to 7, let's just, we'll worry about it more that day.
okay,
I don't think at 7 o'clock you're gonna have more than like,
A handful.
you're just gonna have Eric is gonna be here asking you questions.
mhm. About my next
Your
article.
biggest fan, yeah.
My next
The
article,
next article. Eagerly awaiting.
exactly. Okay,
All right,
thank
so
you.
moving on. Capital improvement projects, Cat Drive,
We don't really have a strategy.
we don't really have a plan because we don't really have any money to plan.
Our plan is to borrow money in 2 years.
when the
And
other
there
net falls
again,
off.
there might be some opportunities since this reform has happened that, there's a need for it now because we don't have the funds available. But Marcy's right, I mean, we're gonna have a couple of bonds falling off, so we'll be in a better position to borrow.
2 years.
Yes.
We're at 20% of our debt
Yes.
limit. I don't think we want to go the way Dubuque was, where they were so highly leveraged for so long.
Or East.
The question is when
At least where it needs to be.
definitely not East View.
Oops.
Yeah.
So I mean, overall, the discussion we had earlier, I think that we're on track.
Less than that.
I think we're still, fully aware of all and everything that's on this list.
Yeah, and I would recommend, and I've said this to the mayor, and maybe you've heard me say it before, but like, number 5, finished Kelly Oaks, that's a priority. Let's just spend the next 2 years, get it done,
Get it
And
done,
then-
Get it out of the way.
right,
get it
and then not
this.
plan any large projects like that. We can go ahead and do Cox Springs and then slowly get through was there 6 or 7 phases that we were talking about for trails?
The trail and sidewalk plan.
Just to start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that's the,
Yeah.
do we have it in that when streets are redone, that we put inside?
yes, that's in our subdivision ordinance.
We should,
Well, when new streets are put in, right?
but not when they're overlaid or not
But
there.
overlaid,
That would be.
there's no
Yeah.
provision.
Yeah.
for
That would be
doing
either us taking that on or an assessment. I don't
New
remember doing
construction,
assessment.
new
for that.
substantive, new
No.
subdivisions.
Any other questions, comments?
So this is good the way it is. I'll just
I think
make a memo to
I think so.
kind of commemorate that we've reviewed it and then I'll bring it back and for the next quarter.
I have one more comment, sorry. I know that, Water Disposal didn't technically make this list, but I wanted to give you a little update on that. I finally got a company that's gonna come take a look at the sprinkler system.
Okay.
And so I'm hopeful that we can either fix it or we look at replacing it. I actually have someone that can do it, so it's awful. That's the best way I can put it. I believe there's
It
3
was
different,
almost burned up last summer
literally.
I
for a
remember
period of time.
There's 3 different sections. I believe there are broken pipes underneath it, are quite extensive. And then all the electrical, even though I paid to have it rerun, still doesn't work. So the only way we can turn them on is go to each valve and turn them on, in each zone, which is why we fell behind last year. It's just a lot to go out there. Yeah,
Part of the wellness program.
so just an update.
The numbers out, yeah.
I have a text out to him. They did hook up the water specifically just so he could come take a look at what it looks like before and what it looks like once we turn the water on and see what direction we should take. But finally getting some legs with it that I struggled with for a long time. So. So, except that I might be coming with I have X amount of money we need to spend, but
I mean, you'd be
Not-
do an amendment for this year's.
I'm not
put it on
there,
the
I'm
budget
not
for
there
next
yet.
year.
I'm not there yet,
Definitely.
so.
On those lines of the ball field, did anything come of that earlier discussion we had about the screening and the prevention of the foul balls? And you guys were doing more
Every time,
looks at whether or not
I mean,
we're
so I
up to
have the
oil,
quote to
what
be
we
able
need
to do all of it. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
It's
which we
always
said.
been, no, we
I would
don't.
rather spend that money on the sidewalk.
For sure, yeah.
So no, I mean, so yes, I talked to the company. I have the plan. But that's what the price tag is.
But you also think what we've done so far, like we're in line with expectations of a ball field like what we have.
I'm up,
It was there.
I'm up high enough,
Good.
I'm up, yeah, we were there first, like precedence, insurance company won't pay a dime for anything because of the way we sit, like, we're not like legally in. The only thing that I could be swayed into is continuing to look for something I can do over the playground. Like, that's the one area that I think
so balls don't fly in at the kids.
Yeah, like that, and I haven't figured out the best way to protect that area,
Did
but
you-
that's the one part.
Did you
that
see the dome they're gonna put
swing.
over the stadium in Las Vegas for the baseball? We could do something like that.
I got asked if we we're gonna turf Spiel Field by Clark.
Very plastic.
If we were what?
We're gonna turf Spiel Field.
Oh,
4 years.
All in
ago.
down.
It was gonna cost
Very
The piazza.
plastic, the very.
$1 million 4 years ago.
But then, this is, I'm going off track, I apologize for
That's
one
what we all
thing.
do.
So, then the conversation turned to a lot of fields are doing where they're keeping grass and keeping, all the infield the same, but they're just turfing the pitcher's mound and home plate, the two most maintenance areas on that field. And I was intrigued by it, so baseball, if you've ever seen it, let me know. I
I've
was
seen
actually
the
gonna-
whole infield turf, the outfield grass,
Okay, but
I've not
have you
seen- I've
seen
not seen
just, okay,
but
so
it makes
Clark's-
a lot of sense.
Clark said they're starting to see more and more fields do it, so I was gonna reach out to
Really?
Casey and just see if he's ever seen it or if he would be, and I have no idea what price is, but we're going from $1 million to thousands, yeah. Yeah, that if we could get more and then I could say yes to more tournaments and I could whatever, we'd have a better chance of actually recouping some money from the field. Sorry, that's
No,
left field, that's.
No,
That's why this is a work session.
Yeah, so, but food for thought at the very least. But yeah, if you see any or you, whatever, let me know, because I haven't seen a field like that. I haven't seen it where it's just pitcher's mound and
It's intriguing.
then a turf, yeah. I was intrigued as well. Okay, I'm done, sorry.
Last item, PEDC and city advisory role. And basically serving on the committee, and when the PEDC has some issue or some question or something that needs to be done, generally the direction goes, Annette, can you do that for us? Annette, did you do this? Annette, will you do that? Annette, what do we do? I don't believe that the city, I'm not saying necessarily needs to be on there. My only concern is that without some city involvement, they are going to flounder further.
How long has the PEDC been in established?
When I came aboard, John, they were still working with Carla Organist out of NIU, so that was kind of, I don't know how long
I mean,
before
They were
that.
established before I was here, and that's over 2 years.
With that being said, so let's just say that it's been three years.
Almost 3 years, yeah.
What exactly has been accomplished?
I don't know if I want to say this in an open meeting.
No. I feel, I can say it, I feel like nothing has been accomplished. I feel like they don't even have their 501.
They don't have their ducks in a row.
Yeah,
So
so,
how do we, in my opinion, it's been 3 years, nothing's been accomplished. We need to either shift gears, find new leadership, members, or can it altogether?
is it our position to,
We're the,
we could take the funds away?
yeah, absolutely. I did talk to Amy Bajork about this. She's our bonding counsel, and she asked me if there was a formal agreement put together when the 2020 urban renewal amendment came up. And I said, there's no written agreement that says PEDC, you know, the city and you are going into an agreement, you get X amount of dollars over 5 years, and this is a procedure that you have to follow to do this. It just basically says anything for economic development. So there was a conversation during one of the meetings that they may come to you and ask for the remaining balance. Just, they want 45,000. And,
What would that be for?
well, they're talking about doing the housing study is one, that's 30,000 from what I'm getting. They want to hire somebody to do all the economic development footwork for them for 1 year because of this community foundation involvement. So that's not going to cover that part-time person. So they're losing sight of what their priorities are. I know that they've moved forward. I think a couple of weeks ago, I shared the logo with you all that they picked.
3 years later?
They are going to have a meet and greet April Fool's Day, April 1st at Trackside. And,
No, round two.
oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
The look on your face was awesome though.
I thought we were bringing in.
Wait a
food
minute,
trucks
I
for
am really
Oh, Brian.
Oh, Lexi, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You anymore.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, it just really like, I was like, wait a
That was a
minute,
test.
I know my calendar.
She's
there.
paying attention.
She do.
Oh, you
I think my concern about it is, we thought this might be the vehicle, which is probably not a good thought on our part, for the foundation,
Right.
the Community of
Yeah.
Dubuque Foundation. Now, the other side of that is I don't want, and I don't think anyone in this room wants to lose the possibility of establishing this foundation that will generate funds forever for the
Build
city of
endowment.
Piasta, to build this endowment, to allow grants for improvements in the city in the future.
I don't think anybody wants to lose it, but it's not getting done.
Well, and please share with, like, what I said with you. I will work more
Yeah.
to
That
make
we
this
don't
happen.
lose it.
I do not want to lose it. If we have to be the conduit for it, then I'll take that on.
I just was make just general statements that it's 3 years and we just got a logo.
And maybe
They have a
by,
website.
they have a website?
It hasn't gone live yet. They have a
What's
Facebook page.
Have we had any businesses contact them like in the 3 years?
And my suggestion was, when they had these meetings, to go out to these businesses, engage them in their meetings so they understand what they're about. And they wanted to hold them here. And it's like, we need to
For a
make that
rental
simple.
fee,
I guess I could, but
$500,
my concern is I'm spending a lot of time helping them
right?
when I really shouldn't be at these meetings. If they have something come up at their meeting, I would rather have them email me rather than it's me and Jason at the beginning of the meeting
Talking all the time.
giving updates. And I give them links to the agendas that are coming up. Not once have I had one question, not once. And if I say, look at the website, it's just crickets. Look at the agenda, it's
What's the meet and greet
crickets.
that's coming up? Not a track site.
I know. It's to invite the general public and businesses to come in to tell them what they're all about.
So I mean, that's 3 weeks
That's
away,
good.
and that's the first I'm hearing of it.
Well, they did it 2 years ago.
It's supposed to be similar to what they did at Dartford. I think you were at that one, weren't you?
I think so.
Yeah. And that's, I think, but I don't think anything, I don't think they got new members. I don't think
It was like more like a networking situation, I guess, but I don't think, anything came out of it.
at this juncture, here's my thought, and you can agree, disagree, don't care. I believe at this point, we cut the city out of being part of this. Let them grow or flounder on their own. And if they want to approach the council, because it's taking, and that's time that the city can use more effectively. And if the GDDC wants to stay involved, let them, but they are down to five members, six
Six.
members. Their
Their bylaws are-
So they're
bylaws require 5.
5 or 9.
volunteers, so that's hard too, because
I
once the
understand that,
city,
yeah.
I mean, if the city pulls out, they're not, I doubt they're gonna stick around.
Well, we never were really in it. I was just as an advisory.
Well, you know what I mean, I think they're probably like, well, we're just people who, I mean, they're volunteers, so.
I get it, as are we.
Yeah, I mean, well, but
My thought is, I don't want to pay somebody to be there.
Yeah.
So if we want to stay involved as an advisory, it falls to this group
Yeah.
here. And, yeah, anyway,
You can zoom in.
I understand all that, but we all have jobs,
So do that.
and they do, right?
Right,
I'm just, yeah, I do not have the
It
ability
is.
to decide
all
whether
over
I
the words.
whether I walk away from my job for an hour or
Yeah.
two for this meeting. I do not have that ability.
Do they have bylaws and stuff? Like, do they have
They
like,
do.
Yeah. Do they need a more specific goal? Like, we want you to raise $5,000 this year with city businesses for Kelly Oaks.
No, what we're looking for is like those benevolent people that will give us 50,000.
I mean, but,
But it's
I mean, starting,
Right,
like
yeah.
a goal, like you just say like, in 6 months, we want you to raise $5,000 using city businesses for Kelly Oaks. Like, just
It's kind of what the
goal.
Community Foundation wants us to do. That's the whole kind of premise behind them, is to get the endowment fund built up so that we can do great things at Kelly Oaks and we can do great things at our other parks. We can build a new fire station, just things like that.
No direction on how they're gonna do it.
Right.
So
They
I
just-
think that was the basis of this, was that we've got great businesses, we've got great people here.
Absolutely.
We have to find a group that can help harness that. And they're not.
Right.
And it's frustrating because it would be a great group. It's a great concept. And so is the foundation. And I just think that those two, it's a perfect match for them to be there to help create that endowment, get that excitement going.
Do we have a couple council members and maybe sit with 2 or 3 of them and say, what are your goals? What direction are you taking? And you know, this is what we expected out of this group, or what we thought our expectations were out of the group. How we get on the same page?
Did we commission it to start, or did it start on its own?
No,
We did.
we did.
It started at the impetus of the city.
And I had suggested to them to bring Pat Callahan in to do some goal setting, strategic
Yeah,
planning, and that
yeah.
fell on deaf ears. That's $1,500, folks. That's cheap.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could pay for it out of that 50,000 or 45,000 that's left to say, let's bring him in, let's give you guys some focus and we stay out of it.
Give them some direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they spent the first 5,000 on the 501c3, right?
I think they have
The legal
2,700
fees
left.
and-
Yeah, so they're spending it on marketing material right now.
Okay, it's been 3 years and you've really been not
Yeah.
going anywhere. So our expectations are this. If you wanna keep on drawing on this $50,000 what we got here, these are expectations, these are what you need to be working on. And we would have to come up with that before.
Yeah,
You know,
I think it seems like they need like goals,
Right.
very specific, here's a piece of paper, this is what we want you to accomplish this year, or there's no more money.
And one of them would be to have either strategic planning or goal setting. I mean,
But I think
that's
it's,
number
maybe we
one.
sit down and we.
Like maybe their minds are just going too many different directions and they're not just.
Right.
Focus
Well,
on.
they did a survey early on, right? And then the number one issue was traffic.
Right.
Which, okay, that was a
But I think, I don't think
legitimate issue
they're, I don't think
that
they're
the
there
business
yet.
raised.
I don't think
I
they're
think they
there
were
yet.
beyond what their capabilities were.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
100%.
Yeah, so
So
There's
they
no
gotta,
way
you
that,
gotta have
They-
small
we
goals.
can't
we're
just
not
start
going from here to
Right.
here, but yeah, I think Kelly Oaks is such a big project that we wanna have in the community, I think that's a good project for them to work on.
Is that economic development though?
It is
It is.
an entity for the
The
employees of
community.
the economic,
It's a amenity for
Community.
the community that makes the community more attractive.
But think about
for
like
economic development.
all the
Okay,
parks
getting
in the city,
myself
they're all
there.
named after
Because that's every time you
Maybe
read.
McDonald
like,
Park and
if
all
you-
this, I mean,
what
it
is
looks
their
good for
biggest
the
thing is
business and the
Placement.
community.
When
Place.
companies are looking to come to town, they're saying, what are your amenities?
Yeah.
What are my employees
Where
gonna
are
be
the
able to do at your
trails?
place?
Where are the?
Where are they gonna
Where are
work,
the
live and play?
trails?
Yeah.
Can I take my half-hour break and walk around
Yep,
Piazza?
yep.
In the middle
So
of the
it is.
street.
So I think,
On a trail though.
I think,
for them.
I think the separation of us and them probably needs to happen. My thought is, in that same conversation, say, we would like to sit down, a couple of us would like to sit down and maybe, I don't know, where you started, where you've come. And then maybe help usher this along a little bit further, something along those.
I think we've tried to usher a little bit, and I think it kind of was on deaf ears.
But I think if we say, we. you know,
I like where
we
Lexi's
would
going
like
with
to get
this.
these 3, 4, 5 things
Right.
done, or the funding's gone.
Yeah, we want you to have a goal setting session with Callahan, we want you to have,
We're paying for it.
we want you to rate, we're paying for it.
Out of your money, that's set aside.
Yeah.
You're paying for it with our money.
Yeah, we will use.
We want
the money
you-
that's Set aside for you to pay for.
We want you to do a fundraising push for Kelly Oaks Park with the businesses with
Those
a
two
goal of $5,000,
Those 2 things that next.
$10,000, whatever, yeah. Yeah. I think,
Like it.
what's the,
I think very specific.
Yeah, I think it gives some direction on where to go.
it's not
And
even
then
a
once
little
there's a
meeting, we
plan,
don't,
we can
No.
talk about releasing other money. What's the plan?
But what's
When
the
there's a
plan?
plan.
Well, it kind of goes back to that
We
formal
use
agreement
it.
that Amy was talking about. We need to get something concrete that really lays out the parameters on what you're able to spend the money on.
well, and if you're meeting expectations, then it's a little different.
I wouldn't give any more money without a plan.
And then,
And a little more regulation of you need to come to a meeting.
Is there a lot of issue?
They just don't, they don't have time or they forget.
which it's
That's
so
fine.
hard because they're volunteers,
Right.
that's really hard. But
Did we have a
Once a quarter.
clear commissioning charter when we started it 3, 4 years
I know
ago?
it.
Say, this is what we envision,
Our
this is what we're
expectation.
wanting you to do.
I would venture that.
Cause it's,
No,
probably not.
If you join
we,
us.
we might owe that to them. If we commission them and it's not clear what we commission them.
Well, I think
for.
that's why we go with that plan of.
well, we helped them with the mission statement, the vision and all of that. We got them
Yeah.
going. I don't know if you want to call that a commission or not, but you know, the excitement was there, the right board members were in the right place at the right time.
It's good.
And unfortunately, it's just, it kind
Who
of,
just left the board? Matt?
Matt,
Yeah.
Beers.
And I think if you're not seeing success, and you're not seeing
You're
the
not gonna
ball,
stay.
right, you're not
Yeah,
seeing
you
the
don't-
ball move down.
You don't wanna, you're
It's
waste of
like, I'm
time.
not, it's not doing anything.
You're not doing anything.
At least then they're gonna see a light at the end of the tunnel. What are we working towards?
Or should we just dissolve?
Yeah.
I mean, I think and that should have been done when I suggested it, what, 6, 8 months ago?
I think none of us wanna give up on the idea.
No,
Right.
I think they
No.
get another shot.
We need it.
But do you think that we need to be involved?
Yeah.
On a daily basis, on a weekly basis,
No.
monthly basis?
No.
No, I think we go in and we say, Annette is busy, she has her own things to take care of. We have to keep some separation. But
We're gonna help you.
we're gonna help you, and these are some goals, and we can be there for, certain things, but not all the time.
And the first thing that we were gonna do is the goal setting or strategic plan.
Does someone, Annette, or one of us sit in that goal setting?
I don't think so. I think we need to wean them off of us being,
But I just think their goals are so large
I think that's why
and
somebody.
unattainable
Yeah.
right now.
Or they don't know what they
Come
are.
back with,
What's that?
but that's where you have Callahan, you
Right.
you can come back and report to say, here's what
Can we
we're-
tell Callahan, like,
What we
Rein 'em in.
suggest.
rein them in, be like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is amazing,
Yeah.
but we want, like, look at this year, what can we do this year?
1 to 2 year goals, realistic.
3-month.
So then is it something where every year we sit down or they come to us with what their goals are?
Well,
Who's
they're supposed to
telling-
show
I don't
up
know
once a
where we're
quarter
going.
to report out and I
Who's
think they've
telling
done
you
it
last
once.
time-
Well, they don't
Type
have
in here.
anything to report.
It was telling here, I don't even know which one was here, and I asked what the goals were, and they said they weren't there yet.
Kathy,
So,
It was Ken.
that was
in
Kathy.
my
And
tenure
the
on
last, and the one meeting that I went to with them was,
It was a public hearing.
it was very, they were just hung up on big,
Grant,
picture things.
which
and-
is great, but you're not there yet.
That's
Yeah.
right, that's 10
You
years.
gotta walk for it.
I think it's like maybe more than that,
Hmm.
but
I mean, once they get, if they get going and they get some success.
board members who are seeing, like, a lot of them are obviously really driven people or they wouldn't volunteer to be on those
For
boards.
sure.
So, but if you're not seeing any success,
Then we
you're
want
not
to
gonna
start to-
go,
So then
you're not gonna
filter off
participate in
other
that.
things.
why are the people dropping off?
Yeah.
Because there are no
There's no
success, there's
success.
no direction, there's.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and there's
do-
some outside forces too that they're tickling too. Some of the development that's happened that kind of, when we had the moratorium on the apartments. So I mean, they've kind of grasped onto that.
That's old news, move on.
Yeah.
Whatever's happening, that's happening with that now, and we're moving on to the next big picture, little picture,
Yeah.
like a little,
Little
TV.
picture for you.
Remember when you used to watch TV on a never mind, you could. 19-inch TV on the carton.
You were a channel changer.
You had to get.
that's their picture,
Change the channel.
TV,
That's the picture I want them to
Yeah.
work under.
okay.
You only had up to channel
Now,
13.
you guys are
Bit on the dial.
1972.
And I was thinking a little
TV.
picture, so the size of.
Yeah, yes, there you go. I think that's good for tonight, everybody. Thanks for coming.
We're having
And
2 hour work.
See you on Tuesday.
I'm not coming.
Yes, you are.
I'll put my